Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing beautiful on this lovely day. Today, we get a bunch of hot new news in the Hearthstone world. Not only is patch 17.4 going live, I believe it's 17.4, I could be wrong, but we're getting a bunch of nerfs in game. And on top of that, we're also getting the announcement of the new Hearthstone expansion, Scholomance Academy. We are joined today by the homie Overlord MC. MC, how do you feel?
Oh, there's a lot of news today. A lot of news, which I'm happy for because I guess I've been saying on stream quite a bit for months now that meta's pretty stale, but I guess I just get bored fast.
Oh, I mean, I can't blame you. It has been a grueling last month trying to get through and find uniqueness in what seems to be like a stale meta. But hey, we got some nerfs to last us for the next couple weeks, and then
Shake up the meta, yep.
Yep, and then we got a whole bunch of new stuff coming in. So without further ado, let's jump right into the cards that they've already released. So this list that I'm putting up on the screen is courtesy of Hearthstone Top Deck. So thank the people over there from putting it together. I'm adjusting the size to hopefully get it somewhere that you'll be able to see over my head. You can't really read the text, it looks like, but sorry. So first, we're going to go and talk about this Cult Nephitite card in the top left corner. It's a neutral 2-drop, 3/2. Battle Cry is your opponent's spell costs 1 more next turn. So what we're going to do with each one of these cards, we're going to try and just rate them on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being meta defying, 1 being for the memes. We don't want to spend too much time on cards that aren't going to be that great, but we do want to cover every card. So, MC, let's start with you. What do you think Cult
Okay.
Nephitite will be in this next meta?
Instantly, once I seen this card, some great utility, maybe against Druid. Um, at 2 cost, 3/2, not bad stats. And your opponent's spells cost 1 more. You probably could play it to disrupt their ramp, or you can disrupt their their Mount Seller turn if you could time it right. Um, Something like this. I don't know. I want to maybe give it a 3.
I think I'm right there with you. I think it's a good card in certain instances. I don't necessarily think this is a card that needs to be in every deck.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if the meta has a lot of combos and things like that, then you'll see it included more often. But it has decent stats for a 2 cost. Maybe it's a one of tech in some decks
Yeah.
that'll see some play. But yeah, I'm right there, probably around a 3, maybe a 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Definitely a tech choice. I was gonna
yeah,
say.
it can be a nice tech choice, especially with the stats. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
now I'm gonna so I guess before we get to this next card, what they also announced in Scholomance is dual class cards, kind of like something that they
Yeah.
had in
What was that?
um
Gadgetzan?
was it Gadgetzan with Razakis and Kazakis and all of
Mean Streets
those
of
things.
Gadgetzan.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Mean
tri
Streets.
class.
Yeah. So now it's dual class. So this next card, Devolving Missiles, is a 1 mana dual class for Shaman and Mage, and you shoot 3 missiles at random enemy minions that transform them into ones that cost 1 less.
Hmm.
Now, I think that could be pretty good as a control, as for a control deck if you want to just kind of keep surviving, or if you are an aggro deck and you want to get through a taunt. I think that card has a lot of utility. So I would probably give it a 4. I think you're going to see it
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of different mage decks. I think you'll see it in a lot of different shaman decks as well.
Oh, definitely. Basically, devolve for 1 on 3 targets, which possibly hit the same minion technically, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
costing 1 less or transforming into, like, twice or maybe even 3 times, and maybe that might get you through.
Mm-hmm. And then I think the
But
utility of it is also pretty good. Like you said, if there's 1 minion on board, you play it and it gets reduced by 3. You turn your 6-drop into a 3-drop. That's, I mean, it's a for 1 mana, it's pretty good. Pretty
hmm especially cards like like on the picture, there's polymorph and hex, so
good. And yeah.
something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, but could help.
And so
And if
next
we
we'll
say a 4.
yeah, 4 as well. Nice.
hmm
So now we'll jump over to the Diligent Note Taker. It's a 2 mana Shaman card that has Spell Burst, which is the new keyword. If you don't know, Spell Burst triggers once when you cast a spell, and the effect is that it returns the spell to your hand. So it's kind of like a twin spell almost. MC, what are your thoughts on this one?
Okay, so spell burst being that you have to play a card and it's a one-time activation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with this card, I actually kind of see it probably going to be used the first couple times, like something people are really going to want to play, just experiment with.
Mm-hmm.
Because what is that for Shaman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got cards like Torrent, which would cost 1, and then just being able to play it again would be pretty bonkers. Like, yeah, a lot of recursion stuff typically seems to be pretty good, and maybe you can make some crazy combos with it.
So where would you put it on a 1 to 5?
Scale, like I do want to be a little bit more forgiving for this one. I want to say a 4, but I think it's gonna end up becoming. So I'll say 4 just for now, just because
Mhm.
like I do see the utility and possible combos with this.
Yeah, I think this card is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I think Shaman has been kind of looking for a way to get there, like to kill you towards the end of the
Mm-hmm.
game. They have this spell package that is kind of good, but not good enough. They got the totem package, which is kind of good, but again, not necessarily good enough. So this
Mm-hmm.
card gives you an opportunity to double cast your buffs, gives you an opportunity to double cast your lava burst if you want to hit them for 10 damage now. If you run 2 of these and 2 lava bursts, that's what, a potential of 20 damage coming from your hand.
Actually,
Um,
yeah.
and I think there's a lot of utility. I want to say that this might be a meta defining card and really good
Hmm.
for Shaman. I am a little afraid to give it a 5 because it's still just it's almost like, I don't know, maybe like a Sethic, like the type of, it's a card that you have to answer, or it's a card you play with a combo right away and is bad news
Mm-hmm.
bears for your opponent. So I'll give it a 4, maybe a 5. We can't do 4.5s or anything like that. So
Yeah.
maybe to be safe, I'll give it a 4 upon further evaluation. We got to see more of what the
Yeah, I
expansion
kind of
holds.
gave 2 ratings on it, but I still stick by the 4.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so next up we have First Day of School. It's a Paladin 0 mana cost card, and it adds 2 random 1 cost minions to your hand.
Oh.
So
I.
I wait. You took the lead on the last one, right? I don't
Okay. Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Go
I'll
ahead.
I'll start. I'll start with this one. I don't think it's good enough. I like how
Hmm.
it's 0 mana. The randomness of a random 1 cost card. I think we're really going to need to see more of what this expansion is going to give you. Because yeah, there's definitely utility in getting a random 1 cost card in your hand, but I don't know if it's good enough. I guess it does really. It helps if you get it on turn 1. You play this. If you didn't have a 1 drop before, you got your 1 drop now. But I don't know. I think this is maybe a 3.
Hmm. Okay. I'm kind of in that same area. I was actually gonna say something like a 2. The
Yeah, I
only
can see.
reason,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd want to say a 3 just because like we haven't
Oh.
seen all the other cards. Maybe there's gonna be some type of token strategy coming back with Paladin, which has always been, especially during the mech days, that was definitely a good card. I mean, a definitely good strategy. So it being 0, that's kind of why I want to give it a little bit more of a bump, because
Hmm.
2 free cards off of 0, and we all know that free things in Hearthstone end up being kind of, not degenerate, but definitely shift things quite a bit.
Hmm.
So I think I'm gonna be a little more generous and give it a 3 in hopes that there is going to be more of a token strategy, because maybe you might pull that thing that you need.
Hmm. That's fair. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next card. It is a priest minion, a 1/4 or 1 mana frazzled freshman. MC, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I think this card might be okay, because like for 1 cost 1/4, that's pretty fat. That's almost in the power creep level. So
Hmm.
you think about it, what was the 1 cost that was like within those stat realm? The old school card Dire Maul, which is always a 1/3,
Hmm.
and that was like
Almost an
Pretty
auto
strong
include in
card.
most Beast Hunter decks, yeah.
So like, especially with the way Priest has kind of been shaping out a little bit more towards tempo, um, it might be something that's pretty good. But I don't know. I don't want to say it's an auto include unless there's gonna be more of a tempo based strategy.
hmm
So I want to say a 3.
Okay. So I think this is a really good card. We don't really know where Priest is going, but even right now, you see a Vulgar Homunculus for 1 mana. It's a 2/5, so the stats are better, but it takes 2 more turns to get it. So on turn
Essentially, turn
three,
3.
yeah, on
Yep.
turn 3 you get a 2/5. Here, turn 1 you get a 1/4, and I don't know. It just seems like there's so much. I mean, it'll definitely help them in the early game,
hmm
which may or may not be necessary because I mean most priests right now what they're doing in the early game are just trying to remove things. I guess Cube Priest you do want a board on it,
hmm
um, but I don't know, a 1/4 for 1 mana. Those stats are just really
Pretty
good.
fat. Pretty
And
fat.
if you pair it with something like turn 2, you send your inner is it inner fire, the one
Yeah.
that makes your
See,
health
I was
equal
trying to
your
think
attack
about
equal to
something
your
with
health.
buff.
Turn 2, you have a 4/4. That seems a little busted. So I'm gonna give this a 4. I think most priests, especially tempo priests, will run this card. It's a really good 1 drop.
Hmm. Oh, especially if you include powered shield and
Yeah,
then inner fire on
yeah.
turn 2, you got a 6/6. That's
That's
pretty
that's a
nuts.
big boy. All right, so
Yeah.
now let's move on to the first Paladin card that we're seeing. It's a 3 mana 4/2 with Divine Shield, Spell Burst, gain Divine Shield. Goody, 2 shields. So I know Paladin definitely needs a whole lot of help, and getting a 3 drop with decent stats is probably going to help them. The Divine Shield is good as well. I
Mhm.
don't know if with the information we have available now, if this card is good enough to matter. It's sticky, which is great, so you'll be able to get your buffs on it. It has utility with the spell burst, so essentially, what you play it on turn 3, you swing on turn 4, and you play a spell to give it Divine Shield again after you use it. So it could be great for clearing. It's a good tempo value, but I'm only going to give it a 2.
A 2. Okay. Um. Yeah, I guess I kind of want to be within that realm too, just because like I want to give it a 3, but I feel like I've been getting a lot of cards 3.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason I say that is because if it does again start to go towards a token strategy, this on 3 is not that bad. And if you
Mm-hmm.
play it on 4 with like a 1 cost spell, when like you said with trading and stuff like that, with the pure paladin build, because you also got the other card that's somewhat in the same stats of 4/2, which is that the one that gives you the weapon.
True
The
Light Champion.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, stat wise, it's comparable, but with the recurring divine shield, at least twice, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay.
usually, I was gonna say that that 4/2 that's already the was it called again?
True Silver Champion or something like that.
True silver.
That's the
Yeah,
weapon,
that.
at least.
Yeah, most of the time that card just gets popped. Like it's just there for the weapon, you know.
Mm-hmm.
At least with this, it can stick around a little bit. So maybe I will give it a little bit more of a as a 3 for this one.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to this next card. It is a 0 cost dual class spell for Druid and Shaman, Lightning Bloom. Gain 2 mana
Hmm.
crystals for this turn only. You overload for 2. MC, how do you feel?
I think this card might be a little busted. The only reason I say that because it being 0 again, being able to get 2 more crystals. Like imagine like a turn 10 play where you play this twice after doing a couple plays. That's 4 extra mana, and maybe that's just enough to like get your combo off or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely feel like something might come up with this card. I don't know how so much in the shaman world right now. Um, but maybe in the druid they might find some utility. So I'm gonna probably give it more of a. Is it greedy to give this one a 5 already?
Well, while you mull it over, I'll let you know. I'm giving this thing a 5.
A
This
5? Okay, yeah.
seems nuts.
hmm
In Spell Druid, nuts. in any deck. I feel like this is going to be a problem just because of the amount of reach that it'll give you on any given turn. Yeah, you're hit with a somewhat heavy overload, but I don't know. This gives you so many combo potential, so much combo potential, so much additional reach, a lot of utility.
Hmm.
2 mana crystals for 0 is this is probably going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna want to play this card when you're gonna be able to go off and close out the game, most
Mm-hmm.
likely, or
Mm-hmm.
do something crazy board. So that overload, might not be relevant, or maybe it might be. I don't see it so much as a tempo card like during the middle, but I see some utility like probably in the later game.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next card. We have Nature Studies, a 1 mana druid card, and it's Discover a Spell. Your next one costs 1 less.
Oh,
Now, I think this is pretty good. I think this is a
yeah.
pretty good card. Again, for Spell Druid, it'll be great if Spell Druid is still a thing in the next expansion. But I just think as a 1-drop, this is great utility. I think you'll see it in a lot of Druid decks. I'm gonna give it a 4. I think it's a good card.
Yeah, actually, I'm on that same line. I was almost tempted to give it a 5, because if you just kind of look at it in a vacuum with just Spell Druid by itself, it would be an auto include actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, because like you think about it, like it's on the lines of if you play Wild Growth or Overgrowth, you get that. Say you get a free card or something from that Discover, so you can possibly play 2 things for 1. And the fact that it discounts it already, it's like almost like this was a free card, which usually helps Druid a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
But
I
I'll
think.
stick to a 4.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's try and speed things up a little bit. Next card, we have a Rattle Gore, the first legendary that we're talking about today. It's a warrior legendary, a 9 cost, 9/9 with a death rattle. Resummon this with -1/-1. So it. Well, go ahead, MC. What do you feel?
Okay, so see, this is one of those cards that I want to say, like, in a vacuum, looks pretty good. Like recursion, it's gonna stick for many turns with just that death rattle. The only answer to it would be silence, pretty much. But if it already has beefy stats, then you still got to deal with what, a 8/8, a 7/7, or whatever it's gonna end up being. But you got to keep in mind with this card, it's probably only really gonna be played in a combo oriented situation where you can cheat it out to get the most value from it. Just because if you play it on 9 and just expect it to stick like that, I don't know. I just don't think it's gonna be that good by itself. So I want to give this card like a 3.
Okay, I'm kind of somewhere on the same boat with you. I do think that the utility of it will be a little bit different. I think this would be great in a kind of control warrior build, to kind of have a big minion that someone has to answer, otherwise it's gonna snowball. But
Yeah.
again, I don't think it's that great, barring some other kind of, I don't know, maybe if you give it rush or something like that, it might be good.
Hmm.
But just by itself, I think it's probably, I don't know, maybe a 2. It just doesn't seem that great.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
All
Like
right,
I
so let's.
just
Okay.
being a little generous just because it's like maybe there might be some use and yeah, like some way to cheat it out. But there's only like so far what 1 or 2 ways. Um, with that 10 cost card.
Yeah, the Doctor
Yeah.
Boom thing or whatever it is.
But I was trying to also think a little bit outside the box with it. Like, what's that? Boom Reaver? Doesn't that also pull cards?
Mm-hmm.
If you pull it with your Galakron, then it'd be a 13/13.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
Yeah.
hefty.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has big stats, but for the mana cost of 9, it's just,
Yeah,
I don't
that's where
know.
it loses out. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next up, we have the next legendary. It's a dual class Hunter Druid legendary, Shaman Wildclaw. And it's a choose one effect, give beasts in your deck +1/+1, or transform into a copy of a friendly beast. I think this card is going to be pretty good. I kind of
It's
want to
gonna
give it
be
a 5.
nuts.
I kind of want to give it a 5,
Same here.
just because
Same
both
here.
of them have really a huge amount of utility if you draw it early and you're in an aggro beast deck. All your beasts having +1/+1, that's a problem for your opponent. If you don't draw it
Hmm.
early, you draw it late, and you're in maybe like a Highlander Hunter or something like that. You pair this with a Bran. Oof,
2/8/8. That's
oof.
nasty.
16 damage can come on you.
For three mana.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, so it'll be a 10. That's a 10 mana play, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I think
I
this
think it's
card is gonna see play.
For sure. I say it definitely, at least for right now, seems better with the Hunter package. Mostly because yeah, they got a lot more beasts in their toolkit. You can copy a lot of things like Z said, the what you call it, the King Crush. That'd be pretty nasty. But if you think about it on the Druid side, they actually have some okay beasts like what was that 7/7 the Marsh Beast.
Oh yeah.
The that might be okay in some type of tempo swing, or even the biggest one I say is the Guardian.
Yeah,
Making
that's
a
true.
Guardian for 3,
Yeah, that's
that's
pretty good. That's like
pretty
imagine on
beefy.
turn 10 you get 2 of those things. Ooh.
Pretty beefy.
Okay, so let's move down to this transfer student. I think I can say for both of us that this is a 1. This is just a meme.
Let me read this
The,
again. This
the effect.
has okay, sorry.
y-
This has different effects based on which the game board you're on. What does that mean?
Yeah, so every game board you play on, this card will have a different effect. Now, let me try and pull up the list of the effects really quickly because I know that some people have already done the research and tweeted it out. So, without further ado, I am not stalling at all. I am right about. You know what? I think Ridiculous Hat posted it. Let's just go straight to him. There we go. Thank you once again, Ridiculous Hat, for providing us this information. So every board, it'll do something else. On the Horde board, deals 2 damage. Stranglethorn board, Stealth and Poisonous. So there's a long list. I'm not going to go through all of them. Moral of the story, it's a 0. You can include it for the memes if you want, but I don't think it's going to be a competitive
Yeah,
card.
I found a list as well, and this
It's
is
just
a
too
lot
random.
of stuff it
There's
could
too
be.
much
Yeah.
variance. You can't
hmm
you can't do it. I mean, the stats by itself don't make it good enough. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's
And
just move
especially
on.
being an epic, so yeah, I'll
Yeah.
give it a 1 too.
I mean, everyone gets it for free, which is cool.
Hmm.
But whatever. Let's move on. So next we have the 8 mana Troublemaker. It's a 6/8, and at the end of your turn, you summon 2 3/3 ruffians that attack random enemies. MC, what do you think?
At 8, I don't know. I mean, the stats that it will give you at the end of it, which could attack random minions, that might help. Maybe it's something good like I don't know, you transform into or something.
Mm,
But as a card you actually like play or put in your deck, like there's other cards with somewhat of that stat line. Like there's that 6/7 goon that when you attack you get 5 armor. That's a
mm,
good card, but you don't really see it played much. So I kind of see this along with that kind of line as well.
mm-hmm.
So something like this, I want to give like maybe a 2.
Okay, so what I'm seeing, if you take a look at this guy and then you take a look at the Rattle Gore, it looks like Warriors are getting. Oh, whoops, sorry. Warriors getting some fat minions. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering if they are going to try and push more to that control archetype. And in that case, if you're sitting at turn 8 and you have 30 health and 15 armor, this card could be pretty good. You play it, you
Mm-hmm.
deal with your opponent's board and all of that stuff. I mean, maybe. But I think just by itself, seeing what we have so far and seeing where Warrior currently is, doesn't seem like a very good card. I'd probably give it right now maybe a 2, maybe a 3.
Yeah,
It's like
maybe
it has
3.
potential, but I don't think so. So let's move on.
Yeah.
We're gonna go on to the next card. It's a a dual class card for Mage and Rogue, Wand Thief, and it reads combo. Discover a Mage spell for 1 mana with the stats of 1, 2. I think this is actually a pretty good card.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheap to play. I guess Mage will have to figure out how it's going to combo things because it's a little bit unique for Mage classes. But I think
Mm-hmm.
just the utility you get from it, you get to discover a random Mage spell. It's not bad. It's definitely not for every deck. It's a little bit of high rolly, I guess. But even the stats, well, 1/2, play it on turn 2 with another 1 drop or something like that. I think it's okay. I'd give it a 3.
Mm-hmm. I kind of see thief. I mean, sorry, not thief. Rogue using it a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
like this with Feral Cat. And you generate a card, you generate another card from the Feral Cat.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too bad. I guess with Mage, they won't have a hard time comboing off either because they have a lot of cheap ones cost spells.
Mm-hmm.
Things like Ray of Frost,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think it's definitely a good inclusion for either deck. So I'll give it a 3. I don't think it's gonna be meta defining or anything. Definitely usable.
Okay. All right, so the last card that we have here is the Wretched Tutor, and I'm trying to do my best to give you guys all of the stat. Maybe I can just move it at this point. There we go, Wretched Tutor. It is a 4-drop, 2/5, spell burst, deal 2 damage to all other minions. Now, I think this might be decent. I think it might be decent in order just to kind of clear things if you put it in a control deck, just to kind of deal with aggro decks. It's going to be a problem for demon hunters. So I think it is good. Is it going to be in every deck? No. Is it going to be a 2 of in decks? Nope, I don't think so.
Probably
I think
not.
it's a 1 of that you'll see on occasion. I'd give it a 2, maybe a 3. Actually, no. Yeah, I'll give it a 2.
Okay. I say about the same. Just because if I were to give it a 3, it's probably gonna be one of those things where people include it in someone's like high legend list, and it's like, oh, they use this card. Maybe it's actually decent. So like I think people might discover it's a decent tech later down the road. But just as is, I don't know.
Understood. Okay,
Yeah.
so this.
Wait.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you saw this card, but Fluffy Draconoid.
Fluffy
Draconid.
Draconoid, he says. What?
Yeah, there's actually this card as well. Here, let me see if I can link it to you. At least from the list that I'm looking on out cards, but I'm gonna send it to BNet.
Are you in out of cards?
Yeah, I just sent that. But I'll read out the stat line for it. It's a 6-drop, 4/9, spell burst. Add 2 random spells from your class to your hand, and it's a dragon archetype. Neutral card.
Interesting. Hold on, I'm looking
Yeah.
for it.
Okay, I just sent the link for BNet.
Onyx Mage Scribe?
Yeah, why did it give me a different name?
Yeah,
That's
okay.
weird.
Spellburst, add 2 random spells from your class to your hand. That actually doesn't seem too bad. It's pretty expensive, though. It's pretty expensive. It has pretty good stats, though. What do you think about this? Sorry, I'm thinking on it.
Yeah, maybe I want to say 2, just because how expensive it is. I don't know. It being a dragon, there could be some utility because there's still a strong package for dragon at the moment. So maybe some class is gonna, profit from the whole dragon because I like when they shift archetypes. Like how like Hunter right now is usually better in the dragon archetype. But it would be cool to see other things like if Paladin became more of a dragon archetype or and such. But I'm not sure
Okay.
who would benefit too much.
Yeah, I mean, I probably give this something like a 2 or a 3. It just doesn't seem like there's that much value. Maybe you'll see it in like a priest or a control deck just to kind of get stuff, but I don't know. I don't know. It
Actually,
doesn't seem that great.
if you kind of consider it, it's kind of like a way more conditional spellkin druid.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you
Almost.
get. I think there is more utility because it's 2
Not true.
random spells rather than just one cost spells. So you can definitely high roll a bit more on it. But
Oh, for
okay,
sure.
that will do it for the initial card review. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, this is your boy Slickesthitz. Please check out the stream, Twitch TV/Slickesthitz, joined by Overlord MC. MC, thank you very much.
For sure.
Peace out, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.